this is a review that I always wanted to do, but for some reasons it took me a little bit of time. And probably because it's a part of my reference components, like for example my beautiful Serafino Tradition speaker. I never review it. Why? I don't know, are components that I choose in my reference setup, and probably that's the reason. And after all these times, well, not so much times, my reference Phono stage, the PARASOUND JC3+. Why? Well, we will see it in this review, so let's do it. Before speaking about the JC3+, I think we should take 2 minutes just to speak about the Vendetta Research Phono amplifier and the man behind it and behind the PARASOUND's products, Mr. John Kerr. For those who are not familiar with his name, John Kerr is one of the most respected audio engineer designers of all times, and he is the master behind most of the PARASOUND's high-end products. In 1981, Kerr founded the Vendetta Research company and designed the SCP-2 high-end phono preamp, and was sold for $1,895. That are a lot of money. At these times were a lot of money. You could buy a small car with this money. And yes, at the time was the most expensive solid-state phono preamplifier available on the market. John Kerr mentions that the transistors utilized in the constructions are no longer exist, and build one with such good components would have a 8 or 10K price tag. And actually I took a look on Hi-Fi Shark that I met at the high-end Munich show, the guys behind them. Really funny guys. By the way, the Vendetta Research Phono Stage SCP-2 I found it used for 2-3 grand. I never tested, I never saw it, but if you guys have any experience with it, and if you have it, please let me know, because I'm interested to know your opinion about it. 1981, I was even born. So high-end components, high-end phono stage that they deserve the right amount of spotlight, because it's a component that in the analog chains is really important. And in the last years I test a couple of phono stage like the SPL phono, if you remember, the Gold Note PH10 with and without power supply, plus more cheap options that were really good, and I couldn't believe how much different were all these components, sonically speaking of course, and in terms of size, with a tremendous improvement moving from a cheap one to mid-level to a more high level like the PARASOUND, that for me is high-end already, is pretty expensive. I know you can find on the market also phono stage for 10-20 grand, but that's are crazy things. And every time the sounds was delivered more cleaner, with more authority, especially on the bottom end. Top end extensions was more airy, was more natural. And the questions of today is, if there is such a huge improvement moving, for example, from the cheap phono stage that are costed $200, and don't get me wrong, these are really good, like we tested the hifi phono and beautiful phono stage. I still have it, I still use it with my entry-level setup. By the way, moving from this cheap phono stage to the, for example, the Gold Note, the improvement was already huge. Moving from the Gold Note to this one, another big step of improvement. So the question is, what if I move from such a component that has a retail price of, I think, 3 grand to, for example, a phono stage that is coming with a 10 grand? We will still have such a big improvement in the sounds? Probably I will have to live with these questions without answer for more times, because I promised to myself to focus my attentions, for many reasons, more on affordable products. Not today, but that's what I would like to do this year and next one. Back to the JC3 Plus is available in two finishes, black and silver. 2023 retail price in US is around 3 grand, as I said, and in Europe around 4,700 euro. In UK something around 5,000 pounds, make it yes slightly expensive but not esoteric, right? So during the designs of the original JC3, John Carl rejected the variable cartridge slot adjustment due to the added noise in the potentiometers. So basically you could select only 100 ohm or 47 kilo ohm load for MC cartridges and 47 kilo ohm for the moving magnet. And if you play with load, you know that this is a huge limitations because it will going to really change the frequency response. And Parasounds knew about these limitations, but this was John Carl's philosophy to have just the best components or doesn't have it at all. And finally, when they was able to find the right components, the right potentiometer, how you call it, done from a company, so there is a company that make these components only for Parasounds with a really high quality and low noise, able to give you now a variable load fine adjustment with a range of 50 ohm to 550. Do I use it? Oh, absolutely yes. For example, with the HANA ML we are around 100 ohm. Moving on then on the L103 I set something around 400. And you can still go with exotic cartridges like the Unami Red or the Cadenza that are need something around 50 ohm. The potentiometer is located on the back, is not accessible, it's not practical. I know you have every time to disconnect the cables in the worst case and move your Parasound JC3 Plus, where for example on the PH10 you have a beautiful front display with the knobs, and with the SPL Phono same things. Plus the fine adjustment is based on this number closer to the potentiometer, so you have to use your eyes and check where you are, but I never had any problem. RCA input and outputs are gold plated, really good quality. Balanced outputs use neutral premium XLR jacks, are deeply inserted on the back of the panels, make it slightly hard to reach the XLR spring load. So sometimes it's not really easy, you have a small space for your finger, you hit the spring load and you can disconnect the cable, but it's like that. Then we have cartridge selections, MC variable, moving magnet, MC 47 kilo ohm fixed, that you may ask for what it is. Well, for example, the Sumiko Bluepoint 3 high moving coil cartridges. And we just reviewed the Bluepoint 3 low that I still have it here on my RPM 9 from project, and I really love it. Check the review. Something really interesting is the left and right channels location that is coming opposite to any other phono stage. So basically all the phono stage have the right channels looking from the front on this side and here the left, but the JC3 Plus has the right on the left. So just be careful when you do all the connection. Front panel is minimalist, really clean, just two buttons on and off with this beautiful blue LED, and you have the mono switch that when you turn it on it will have also a blue color, and when you enable it will switch to an orange color. Something interesting that I didn't find many informations about it online is that the JC3 Plus is coming with two types of front panels. An older one where you have a red P Parasound logo here on the center, and these last models that is done like that, Parasound, and here with the John Carl signature. Internally there is any difference, the difference is just externals, that you don't have anymore the possibility to, I think, use also the P logo, the red P logo, to turn off the light. Here you don't have it. I don't know why they changed it. I have no idea. If you know it, please let me know in the comment section below. Internally, the attentions to the details to have the much lower noise floor is maniacal. Dual mono designs with separate voltage regulators. Phono module circuits boards are 14K gold plated. Each channel is fully enclosed in its own aluminum vault. It's using arc core transformer. Power supply filter capacitors are now 47% bigger compared to the JC3. and it mounts internally an AC line conditioner to filter the noise. I never saw anything like that, and not only in terms of specs, but also when you turn it on is pitch black, just crazy. For sure the most cleaner phono stage that I ever tested. So as I told you, I'm using the phono stage JC3 Plus already since a couple of years, not, but maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, something like that, and is taking the signal from the project RPM9, where I tested with these amplifiers many cartridges: Sumiko, Tenon, Orthophone, Quintet, the Bronze, but also HANA ML and HANA SL. And I choose it as reference components because I like that it is neutral, it's natural, it's dynamic, powerful, and is coming with a dead silent background. I forget to speak about channel separations. Is extraordinary. So I like this ultra versatility when it comes to deliver a correct and realistic sonic performance regardless of your setup or the setup that is connected to it. For example, if you connect to it an HANA SL that is slightly more aggressive, like not aggressive, but for sure has a lot of vibe, let's select that. That's what you will get. If you connect it to it an Orthophone Quintet Bronze that is more romantic and smooth, that's what you will get. So this is a reason also why I use it as reference components. And now finally let's move to sound quality. Neutral, natural, balanced, dynamic is the best way to describe quickly the JC3 Plus. But of course is more. Imaging is fantastic, soundstage is extending way behind my Serafino boundaries. Overall it's incredibly dynamic, and first of all bass is plentiful, articulated, also if it's coming with weight. The Serafino traditions, they can play really deeply in the infrasonic. I don't need to use any subwoofer with it. Problem is that in such a small room, not really small, it's 26 square meters. Now you have to calculate with feet. I will not do it. And they can sometimes, also if I have an acoustic treatment, they can sound slightly too much emphasized on the bottom end. Not fatigue, but definitely really warm. So I was looking for a phono preamp that was not warm, but the more neutral possible, able to handle with authority all music genre, electronic too. Like for example Floating Points records that I really love. This is one of my favorites, where JC3 Plus is going deep, delivering a virtuoso bass, handled with grip, that between synthesizer effects sound really realistic and impressive, where other phono are struggling a little bit to deliver and following such infrasonic components, but not the JC3 Plus. Or some more jazz classic records like Sound of China, we spoke about it already. And here there is a track called Moonlight of Spring River, where bottom ends with the JC3 Plus was explosive, plentiful but defined and solid, remained deeply full extended and playing with authority and dynamic as only an A+ phono stage can do. And these records I can play it only with such a setup, because I tested also with other components, other entry-level stuff, but I never got this huge scale that I was looking for. Separations, realistic timbre, soundstage, deepness, invisible noise floor, dynamic, fantastic treble that bring music to life, a great sense of air that is enhancing a huge soundstage. Everything sound just next level on this phono stage. And there is only one music genre that I struggle to let it be reproduced correctly, and this is classic orchestra. Composer setup that is delivering a huge orchestra with scale and dynamic. I found it something really hard, at least for me. Most of orchestra recordings, especially this from 70, I found that could lack a little bit of bottom end, a little bit of dynamic. They sounds sometimes too small. So I found definitely pretty hard. My favorite are living stereo. Most of them that I have they sounds really good, but I have also a lot of orchestra recording that sounds terrible. And recently I purchased from Deutsche Grammophon this Mahler Symphony No. 5. And this is the AAA original source series. I have 4 from these records and this one is one of my favorite. And here where most of the Phono preamp sounds brittle, JC3 Plus was huge. Listening the Berlin feel at these scales where you can recognize the placement of all instruments and how well they are arranged. I'm speaking about string deepness. I could recognize clearly the horn sections, was everything so fantastic, delicious, really beautiful. So this is the scale and dynamic that I want when I'm playing orchestra music. I don't play it so often, I play most of the time jazz music, but when I play orchestra I wanted that it sounds like that. I wanted to test also this mono switch that, okay, is for improve old mono records as far I understood. I don't have many, I probably have just 2, but it's there. And I tested with these Peggy Lee Black Coffee records, really beautiful. Decca 2021, if I'm not wrong. This is an acoustic sounds series mastering by Ryan Smith and high quality. Is ultra clean, her voice is delicious, beautiful, the trumpet sound really realistic without colorations. And I tested with the mono switch enable and disable, but I was not able to hear any big or noticeable difference. So is there, if you play mono records, especially with, like me, with, I don't have a mono cartridge, I played with stereo cartridges, it could help probably a little bit to define the center imaging, probably, I have no idea. And it's also something that I didn't saw it before in any other phono stages. PH10s doesn't have such a switch for the mono, and the SPL, if I'm not wrong, also not. But is there, why not? And of course, in the end, I tested a lot of jazz music. Sounds really amazing, airy, beautiful, realistic, not so much colorations like, for example, the PH10 we will speak about in the comparisons, but especially electronic music and rock music is never fatigue, never aggressive, so really can handle any music genre, something that I really like. And in the end, speaking about comparisons, of course, we have to review it right with the PH10s and the SPL Phono that are coming with a similar retail price, SPL and PH10 Gold Note. This one is slightly more expensive. And you can see here on the right also an SPL product, but this is it's not the SPL Phono, is a Phonitor XE for my headphones. We'll speak about it just in a moment. And yes, it has these half sides, so this is bigger, it will need more space, something too that you have to take it in consideration. Speaking about the PH10, is a fantastic phono, is ultra versatile and comes with many functions, settings, all available on the beautiful front display. The sound is slightly smoother and warmer on the bottom end, but not extended with such an authority in the sub bass. And the only way to take the PH10s at the level of the JC3 Plus is by adding an external power supply, also from Gold Note. I think it has a retail price in US of 700 or 900 bucks if I'm not wrong. And I'm speaking about the Gold Note PSU 10. It will give you immediately more attack on percussion, drums and piano. It will sound more dynamic and with more articulations on the bottom end. So you may ask yourself, do I prefer the JC3 Plus to the PH10s with the PSU 10s? Well, nice question. I don't know. Really, I don't know. Both are really good setup configurations. I will say that if you need all the PH10 functions, so different EQ curves like Decca, Columbia and all this stuff, 10 ohm load, where on the JC3 Plus, as you remember, was only 50, the lowest one. 2 phono input, something that on the JC3 Plus is not available. Sometimes you have a turntables with 2 arms, you can connect directly to the PH10s and with one knob just switch between them, something really beautiful. So I will say, if you need this stuff, PH10. Otherwise, JC3 Plus, I found that sonically is slightly more balanced and refined. In any case, really you can go wrong with both of them. Moving on the SPL Phono, well, that is another story, because sonically are really different. First, the SPL Phono, it will take less space, and it has the ability to make everything sounds more tridimensional and holographic. That could sound maybe slightly aggressive in the beginning, but give it times and you will see that everything it will change. Your ears need to get used with this type of new sounds. Again, here the JC3 Plus is more balanced, neutral, natural, and more expensive. And in the end, there was a phono that I really wanted to compare with the JC3 Plus, and this was the PS Audio Stellar Phono. I requested, I hope it will arrive soon. At the moment, we have unfortunately to wait a little bit more. So in the end, the JC3 Plus is the best blind purchase that I ever made it in my audio journey. And why blind? Well, was based on review. I'm not joking. I was reading a lot of review about it. Every high-end reviewer was speaking really good about it. So I say, okay, let me test it because I'm interested in it, and I was really happy to see that the sounds was not what I was expecting, was more. The JC3 Plus is, at least for me, this unique component that will give you the feeling that you don't have to upgrade anymore, nothing, at least on the Phono Stage side. Usually I'm always online looking for something to upgrade, let me check, but that's not the case of the Phono Stage JC3 Plus. That is at the end in my list of upgrades to do, probably is even on the list. And I forget some things to tell you, that I'm using right now for night listening sections the Phono XE with the new hifi Man Organic. So what I do basically is taking the output of the Phono Stage and connect it directly to the Phono XE by enabling the crossfeed. I also wrote an article about it, just take a look of it. The Phono XE is already reviewed, I will let it in descriptions, and it sounds really amazing. For the night listening sections, it's like that. When you have kids, you have to find the way to still enjoy your favorite records. From it out is everything. I hope you guys appreciate my review. As always, to keep me motivating to doing what I'm doing, that, believe me, is really hard. Take in consideration to subscribe to the channels and hit the like button. See you.